going down hard. Love it. We're back again, boys and girls. It's everyone's favorite duo. It's the Dickey Boys. Here to talk about the last month of the BTP, the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. So, here we go. I'm Matt. He's Eric. Say hi, Eric.
Hello. I would like to be referred to as Eric the Elder from now on.
Eric the Elder.
As I am.
Are you older than
by 5 days? And
5
so
days
I should
older.
be treated with the respect of an elder statesman.
So there's just going to be Eric
the Elder, and Eric the Younger. The Younger.
The Younger. You want him to be referred to as the Younger.
Yes. Much
It's
like
going to be
Pliny.
like Pliny the Elder and Pliny the Younger.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Right.
sure. I like it.
Makes sense.
I'm
I
pretty
don't see
sure
any-
I know somebody who's not going to like that, but you know,
Well, I mean, it's out there now. So
he's not
you
here
can't take it back.
to discriminate.
Much like Mason, he is not here.
Not
He
here.
had better stuff to do. Have you been? Hey, have you been thrown out of Skechers World Headquarters today, or is that just Kanye West?
What? I heard about the Adidas, but I didn't hear about Skechers.
Yeah.
What happened with
Yeah,
Skechers?
so we decided today that this is how far life comes at you fast. Wrapped up in one example was Kanye West and his documentary crew trying to go force their way into Skechers to try to sell his Yeezy designs and being asked to leave, and Skechers having to respond saying, "Also, we never had any intention of doing business with Kanye West."
I pay so little attention to these things, like in pop culture, So
Oh, yeah. It's been a fascinating fall from grace over the last. It's like the Britney Spears car wreck, except worse. With if Britney Spears had anti-Semitic views,
oh man,
that's probably what it would be like. So it's been a weird week.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Well, how have you been other than Kanye's weird week?
I've been good. I've been traveling this week. I've been on my
Man,
first
you travel for work all the time.
Not really this time. Or this time was like one of the first times at the new job that I've had to travel. The
But
wife
you travel to
travels
like
too.
weird places. Like you had to go to like South Central Missouri for 3 days.
Oh yeah,
or something,
yeah. That
right?
was for recruiting for the, as you can see on my hoodie in this audio medium.
An audio medium.
Check your bingo card. The Missouri S&T recruiting. And
What is
no, this-
Missouri S&T?
That is the Missouri University of Science and Technology,
Oh,
formerly
okay.
known as the Missouri School of Mines. And when I was there, it was the University of Missouri Rolla. So they said that's
None
no
of
one
those
knows what
names
that
mean
is.
anything to me. Do they have a good
Yeah,
baseball
exactly.
team?
No, now they do. They did not. I would implore you all, please do not go look up my stats from college. Actually, if you want to laugh, you can. I'm going to blame it on the defense, as long as they don't listen.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Blame the 8 guys behind you. Well,
Yeah.
7 guys
Yep.
behind you, 1 in front of you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I was in sunny San Antonio. I left there this morning and flew through New Orleans, and I waved at Mason, but I don't think he saw me.
Oh, darn.
And then I flew home. And so I've been halfway across the country today.
San Antonio and Austin, the only 2 Texas towns that I really care about. The rest of the entire state could pretty much just, go bye-bye.
I underestimated how much I liked San Antonio. It's been a while.
And to all of our Texas listeners, sorry.
The views and
Alienate
opinions
them.
expressed by Matt Doherty are not necessarily those of the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast.
I've only been to Dallas and Houston, so I can't really say much for,
Well, I
El
think we can all
Paso.
agree. We can at least all agree that Houston should just fall into the ocean.
Yeah, we're all done with Houston. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Especially
right.
that
So
biggest
we're here to talk about episodes 173, 174, 175, 176. 173 was the Benguins, which was an unfortunate malaprop that I said during the game, mixing the Bengals and the Penguins together. 174 was essential. I'm sorry, with that one, the Benguins had Joey Haas from Any Given Funday podcast. Then 174 was essentially a deconstructed Gyro, which had Philip Sanford and Byron Grubman on playing their back again for the first time game after the Then 175 had Chris Hates All Things Cardinals with Chris Hollister from, I think, I don't know if he's still on right now. Is he on Trivial Warfare?
So I think
Was
he's
on.
occasionally on. He was a regular, and then
We
him
can
and
talk
Ben
about it
kind
when
of
we
stepped
get to
back.
the
So yeah.
episode. Yeah, but love Chris Hollister. I've been on both episodes where he was on and laughed and laughed and laughed.
He's
He's just
great.
awesome. Then episode 176, which is Scott Johnson. Can you hear me? And this has our beloved West Coast former NFL on the field, whatever he did, the hand thing or whatever, Joe O'Brien. So, and then we'll also talk real quick about the 2022 BTP Tournament games, but Eric didn't listen to him. So,
Yeah.
so
We'll
we're
we'll
just
we'll
gonna,
wave at them, much like I did to Mason as I flew over him. We'll wave at
yeah,
them
we'll
as
just
we
wave
go
at
by.
those real quick. Sure. We'll jump into episode 173, which was a David hosted game where Scott and I faced off against Joey from Any Given Sunday and Eric. Did you have any thoughts on this right off the bat?
Well, first I'd like to say I want to submit a new category for us to
Okay.
for the OT, that every time we come to this, we talk about the get off my lawn of the month.
Okay.
And yours, my favorite get off my lawn of the month was you scolding Scott for rambling.
Me
Like
scolding?
yes, at
Did
the
I?
very beginning of this episode, yes.
You
And
know,
you were
I
like, "Hey, listen here, bud. As somebody who edits," and then you went off about like you could check in immediately and then talk for 5 minutes about how you thought out it. So I was like, "Wow, you guys are at each other's throats right away."
it's interesting and fun because I'm just as guilty as that as Scott is. So, but I've tried to censor myself a little bit, but I don't do a great job. I did find this interesting that David decided to kick off the game quarter number one with a let it ride or throw in the towel.
Yes,
You know, I thought I forgot that was a quarter one option when we set up all those quarters and they had to be in certain times of the game. Like, for instance, a missing link can't be the first quarter. And I thought let it ride or throw in the towel couldn't be the first quarter, but I guess I was wrong.
I always
So,
thought it was the third. I was surprised when I listened and that it popped up right away, and I'm like, "Wait a minute." I even like got into the round and went like, "Are they really doing this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess they already said this." But
and
it shows you how many times David's host. He's got to mix it up.
yeah,
He
he's
can.
at a trillion games that he's hosted. But yeah, that one was fun because uh Scott and I threw in the towel after the third, but Joey and Eric went for it, and then of course got Boise State for the final, and then went up by 40, and then I think they, if I recall correctly, they proceeded to thump the crap out of us. So, yeah, they beat us by
Yeah,
400 and some points. Oh,
it was a
anyway,
close one
it was not a close one
until the game started, and then it
until
was all over.
exactly, yeah.
We had Eid with a new saying for Joe Theismann's headstone that his mother-in-law had, that he is, quote, handsome and he has huge legs.
Oh man,
We had that story of his mom eating, or his mother-in-law um, eating lunch with Joe Theismann, probably. Or, I don't
Beesman.
know.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. I remember that
remember?
story now. Yeah, and
And
then
Eid makes it a point to bring up terrible movies over and
he
over again.
does. He
Shallow
loves talking
Hal,
about terrible movies. Yeah.
Shallow Hal, Major League 3. Um, I loved the Curacao question and wanted to go through a list of other players that were from
From
Curacao,
Curacao. Yep.
because we have, well, obviously the ones that were mentioned, but Didi
Is
Gregorius.
Curacao the island that's off of the South America, or is that the one that's what's the one that's off of South
Yes.
America that like at one point 40% of the shortstops starting in Major League Baseball were from this island? Is that Curacao?
Yeah, so it is just north of South America.
Venezuela or something? No, that would
Yeah.
be Venezuela's on the eastern side of the continent, right?
Yeah, hang on, I'm looking at a map of it
Or
now.
is it Colombia? It's Colombia and Venezuela are
Colombia.
the two north ones, but I can't remember. I know Panama goes into Colombia. And
Right.
this is your geography moment on the
Yeah.
BTP
Phil
OT.
Sanford, please call in and tell us what we're doing wrong.
While you're talking about that,
Um,
I want to talk about the horrible 5-on-3 that Scott and I had, where we decided to go for all five. We went to the all five in the first one, and then went for 4 of the 5 in a hockey one, and we got our absolutely got our hinder binders, as my dad likes to say, handed to us. So that was fun.
there is no more defeating feeling than to be super confident. I did that actually in a 5-on-3 once, and I was so confident about my answers, and then you hear the other people go like, "Oh,
And then
you
as soon
sounded
as
really
you're like, "Oh,
confident
those are
about
way
that."
better answers than mine,"
Yeah, or they're like, "You sounded really confident about that, but I'm really pretty sure that it's X, Y, and Z," and you're like, "Ah, I
oh, that
feel
was
like."
me at trivia a couple of weeks ago when the halftime question was name the 4 Boston Red Sox who got their 500th home run as a Red Sox, and I was so confident that I had all of these just absolutely nailed, and I was wrong on like I think on all on 3 of the 4. Like what an idiot!
Well, it's if you can't, you got to baffle them with your BS
Yeah,
sometimes. We have
we didn't think figure anything about other Curacao. You were going to say other Curacao
other
players.
Curaçaoians, Curacauses. Well, I don't know what you prefer to.
Kira Knights?
Kira Knights, yeah,
Yeah,
Kira
there you
Knights,
go.
yeah.
Kira Knightley's.
Kira
Kira
Knight,
Knightley's. There you
yeah.
go.
We have
Kiriapolitans.
Curice, Curie.
Anyway,
Um,
nobody likes this.
Jurickson Profar, Andrelton
So
Simmons,
far, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, Jonathan Shoop,
I
um,
wanna shoot. Wait, Jonathan Scope.
Scope, my bad.
Yep.
Scope. What? I'm an idiot. Randall Simon was from Curacao.
Hmm.
Ozzy Albies is from Curacao. Didi Gregorius is from
Oh,
Curacao.
Didi Gregorius? I don't know
Yeah,
that.
Jair Jurgens. Yeah,
You just made that name up.
I did not. That was one of my favorite old pitching names, but
Oh, wait, he's a
he's gone.
pitcher? I
Yeah, he
thought
was a
Curacao
pitcher.
like exclusively had like shortstops or something like that.
No, he is, but he did last play for my new favorite team name, which is the Uni President 7-Eleven Lions.
Dude, yes. South American
We
teams
get them.
have some Caribbean and South American teams have some interesting ones.
Yeah.
All right, any final words on 173?
No. I was gonna say Sidney Ponson is a Curacao native, but he's not. He's from Aruba, and I was like, oh, wrong island. I just wanted to say Cindy Ponson in the episode.
And you
So,
wanted to say Aruba, so
and I
that I would
want
have to say Bahama.
Jamaica.
Come on,
Ooh,
baby, pretty
who
mama.
I want to take you.
All right, episode 174. When they said that this whatever it was a deconstructed Euro during the middle. I didn't even look at the episode title. I listened to this. I almost always listen to an episode before it comes out, but this is one of the ones that I didn't. And when they describe something, I forget who hosted this one. I forget.
This is
170.
Dan.
So yeah, when Dan hosted this and Dan was talking about it, I basically said, "Oh, that's basically like a deconstructed Euro." And then 30 seconds later, somebody said, "Yeah, it's a deconstructed Euro." I'm like, okay, that would be great for an episode title. And I look at my phone. Oh wait, that was the episode title.
We did have dissension in the ranks as we had an argument over Skyline Chili. Speaking of food,
Yes, there was a Texas chili versus basically everything else, right?
well, so yeah, Skyline Chili is the
Skyline
Cincinnati
chili.
thing.
That's right. Yeah, that's what it was.
The Cincinnati thing where they put it on spaghetti.
Noodles on spaghetti. Yeah.
And so I thought in my head, did that? It was like a hot dog with Skyline Chili on it, and I said, well, did they put spaghetti on it? Because is it really Skyline Chili? And luckily, David asked that. So thank you, David, for scratching that itch for me. But
Well, I have a question then. So Skyline chili on noodles.
that's
The only difference between that and spaghetti is beans.
It's pretty much. Maybe
Okay.
the tomato content
There you go.
could be.
So now, have you ever had Wolf brand chili?
I have had Wolf brand chili. It's not good. I made my own chili. Speaking of chili, I have
my
another
own chili often too.
I have another request. I know I've been pumping Stat Hero or whatever, not Stat Hero, which one? Baseball Reference or whatever. Please sponsor us, but also Meat Church, please sponsor us, because
Meat Church.
yes, Aid and I. Here's my cooking tip of the OT. Go out and find yourself some Meat Church chili seasoning. It's fantastic.
Oh, see, now I've always heard the Cajun two-step is what you need.
Ooh, I have not tried that, but
I don't know that it's a brand. I just heard that that's a type of spices that you need whenever you're making like a jambalaya or something like that. You have to have a Cajun two-step. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What is this?
And I am not against the idea of beans in chili.
Being from Chile?
No, beans in chili. Like Texas does not do beans in chili. It's just
because nothing's good in Texas. I know that you're like from there or something, or kind of, or whatever. But Texas really doesn't have much going for it. I mean,
we do, but that's okay. That's a different discussion for a different episode. The chili there is meat soup, and I don't mind a little something to break it up.
Yeah, I mean, beans are good.
They are.
Okay, well, back to this one. So Philip Sanford and Byron Grubman.
I did laugh.
Don't know the story about what happened before, then I will recap again, mainly because I hope that David listens to this and I get to make fun of him yet again. Just for you guys that don't know, every time that Walling and I do an OT, invariably within like about 48 hours, maybe even 24 hours, we get notes from David about items that we may or may not have gotten wrong or right on the OT. So David, how you doing, buddy? There you go.
Hi, David.
Okay, so David accidentally forgot to hit record on an episode like 6 months ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And something like that. It was like
3
4 months or something. And then it was with Byron and Philip playing against somebody, and so this was finally like a makeup or something of that game. So that did or didn't happen months ago. So there you go.
Well, the funny thing is that I think there was a makeup of that.
There was
game.
A makeup that Byron
player
was on, but Philip couldn't play because he was on this trip where he was out in Portland, which came up in this episode.
Yeah, and then Dan had written such a good game that we didn't want to lose that he went ahead and that was the day, I think the only day we've ever had it where we had dueling recordings, like
we did
parallel.
We had
at
two
the same
recordings
time.
at the same time, and then after the one fast break episode got done, the fast break people tried to invade the other recording, and Bombeck shut us all down. So
we should have known.
That was funny. But this episode specifically, 174, is Dan. I noticed this like about 2/3 of the way through. It took me quite a while because I have a thick head. But I noticed that he was talking a lot about stadiums and geographical places and stuff like that. And so then when he got to the fourth quarter and he talked about his missing link that wasn't a missing link, I was like, oh, okay. I kind of caught on to that. So
I was just happy that I immediately knew the Gaylord Perry, Nolan Ryan, Ferguson Jenkins answer because, I mean, for obvious reasons.
What round is this?
This was the one where he gave 3 different Hall of Famers.
And then you had to name what team that they played in common.
And it was, I think it was a Let It Ride, wasn't it? But yeah, I think it was a
Let It Ride or Throwing the Towel was in quarter 2.
Yeah, so and I knew because I remember as a kid going to the game the day that they retired Gaylord Perry and Ferguson Jenkins numbers at the Ranger game and being like, wait, like Ferguson Jenkins made sense. He played with them for a while. Gaylord Perry just kind of had a swim through Texas, but he went into the Hall of Fame, and they were just so anxious to have someone that was in the Hall of Fame that they like retired his number. And then he came to the retirement thing with that jersey that he's famous for wearing that has
all the different teams that he played for. Yep. Yeah, that was honestly, Fergie Jenkins, he's one of those names that I know the name, but I always forget what teams he played for. I don't even know he played for the Rangers.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I have Cubs in my brain. But why?
He was a Cub. He was he was a Cub too.
I don't even remember. Anyway,
a lot of different teams. We I also went to go back in the first round. I did pick up on the thing too, but I also am dense and did not realize what Dan was doing until quite a bit longer. But um, one of the questions is either the second to last question or the last question in the pre and post game. When David gets the answer, hi David, sorry to kick you in the nuts again, but he giggles like a schoolgirl. It is a classic David, like, machine gun laugh, like and it just goes like up and up and up and up, and oh my god, I was laughing. I was on a plane listening to it, and I was cracking up laughing because he got the giggles. And I got the giggles, and then it was a funny one.
I don't even remember what was
it was the boxer / stadium one, the Layla Allegiant Stadium.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that was a good one.
All right, well, let's move on here before we can find another reason to kick David in the shins.
One more adage, since we're kicking people in the nuts. I know Byron Grubman said Chris Rose was cool. I want to counter his story with a Chris Rose story.
Oh, here we go.
Running into him outside, like in Fort Worth, the year that the Rangers were in the World Series. It was him, AJ Pierzynski.
Yeah.
And
you told this story.
Eric Karras, yeah. And the biggest douchebag of all of them was Chris Rose. And his bleach tips.
And they were talking on the episode about where Chris Rose is right now. And if you don't know, it's because you don't pay attention to anything John Boy, because he is a regular and he has this podcast on the John Boy Media Network called The Chris Rose Experience. And he is a regular on basically every baseball related John Boy episode.
He did for a very long time that Kevin Millar vehicle, but that's about it.
Don't know what that is. Okay, moving on. Yeah. 175, which was Chris Hates All Things Cardinal. So this is Chris Hollister.
That's what I have. You can't. I don't know. You can't really see my notes, but the first line on here is just Chris Hollister !
Yeah. So this one was hosted by yours truly. So thank you to everyone who wrote questions for me. So thank you, David, who wrote questions for me, and thank you, Ryan Myers. So I think I actually did write a couple of the questions, if I recall correctly. I'm not completely incompetent. It's just that a million things going on. So yeah, Chris Hollister was on. Hated everything the Cardinals because he's a big Cubs fan, right? Is that what he was? Right?
Yes, he is a big Cubs fan
and a big Florida fan too.
Yes.
So, this one I liked. David gave me a David versus Goliath, which was I thought was really cool. Which was name the team that the player played for when they got their 3,000th hit. I thought that was a fun round. I like that one a lot. What's that?
Yeah, that was a really good one. Nice, David. Look at him. David, we're not kicking you in the nuts this time. Good job, bud.
And then I believe the halftime was the one that I did. This one was, it was I gave a song from that was number one the time that the Super Bowl was occurring, and they just had to tell me anything that they wanted to about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I remember
that was kind of fun.
You IM'd me about this, I think, and said, and we went through a couple. That was a really good idea. See, Eric, there's plenty
of things to talk about in halftime.
Mine was, I think, the one
Eric,
I did most recently.
See, Eric the Younger?
Yes.
There are plenty of things to talk about.
Listen to your elders. You can do it, bud.
And then the third quarter was that Let It Ride or Throw in the Towel that Ryan Myers gave me that was all about skateboarding. And
I loved that
immediately
one.
how
Loved it.
Dan and Chris regretted throwing in the towel because they knew both the third and fourth ones that would have taken.
Yeah, I did not get the guy from like the Z Boys or whatever. I couldn't remember his name, but I had the other. I knew the Olympia or like the Olympic gold medals one for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, I was really, I thought that was really well done, and Ryan does an awesome job with questions, but um, approachable, but still like non-traditional category for us, which everybody seemed to do just fine on. And I thought it was great for us to kind of go outside of the big four on occasion and not like completely fall flat on our face.
Yeah.
I think in that round, I don't remember if it was that round or if it was later, we found out about Josh and his stepson getting married in this episode.
Bombeck?
Yeah, Bombeck.
He was on this episode, wasn't he?
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah, Josh's stepson, Brody, got married.
right.
Yep.
So I'm curious because I don't have the stats on it yet, but will Josh be the first grandpa on the Benchwarmers?
Well, his stepdaughter has been married now for, I want to say, like 6 years or something like that, 6 or 7 years, maybe even longer. And yeah, because she used to babysit our kids when they were younger. I think the chances are pretty high. I mean, my kids are 14. Dan's oldest, I think, is 16. Well, no, Lux has daughters in their 20s.
Right. So there's a race. It's a race between
between Lux and Bombeck. There you go.
to be the first grandpa on the Benchwarmers.
I think it's
Get your bets in
hilarious
now.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. In the fourth quarter, I wrote down the answers on my sheet, and I don't remember the questions. Maria Taylor, Jimmy Rollins,
That was six
Carusa
for
and Middleton, and then Evan Lysek.
Lysacek. So
Lysacek.
let's see. We had a previous. We'll work backwards to forwards as God intended. We had a question about figure skating and who the last Olympic gold medalist was. It wasn't Nathan Chen. And then before that were the Texas A&M Aggies who had won
Caruso and Middleton,
who had won NBA championships. And before that, you
Jimmy
had
Rollins.
Jimmy Rollins and just stats about Jimmy Rollins being an MVP. And then I don't remember what the first question
Taylor.
was. Oh, it was who took over as the head, like since Tirico moved out. Since Tirico moved out into the play-by-play, who took over Tirico's spot?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and a Sunday Night Football. That's right.
There.
Yep, there you go.
See?
See right there. All right, well, let's move on to episode 176, which was Scott Johnson, Can You Hear Me? Which featured Joe. Wait, now, are we right? 73? We went through 74 with Dan. So we're the last one, right?
Yeah, and we also, I do want to shout out that so Mason was on both of these. No. Yeah, Mason was on both of these. And he is responsible for my two favorite team names in the month. That was Oilers Constant, Connor McDavid.
Oilers Constant.
And Chris Coolio.
That's right.
Fantastic.
So Oilers Constant, Connor McDavid, that one as the host the whole time. I was just, I don't know what's going on. I think I know a fair amount about hockey, not a lot, I would say, but a decent amount. I had never heard the name Connor McDavid in my entire life. And I thought I knew the Edmonton Oilers, like, not good, but like, I thought I knew some players, but never heard of Connor McDavid ever.
Yeah, he's a stud. I know that.
Is he a current player, or when was he?
Yeah, he's a current player.
Probably why I don't.
Yeah.
But all right, well, let's move on to episode 176. Yes, congratulations, Mason, on your awesome team name. You might like the team name that we just had the other night that Marcus and I teamed up with, so we'll have to wait to talk about that one when we get down the road. Episode 176. So this was Mason and David versus Marcus and Joe in a Eid created game, or I should say Eric the Younger. So in this game, number one, Eric had some pretty cool round kind of style, some changing up of things that I really liked. He did the flop turn river right off the bat, and then the flop turn river was giving first names, and then the answer had to be the last name, and I thought that was genius. I loved it. I didn't get any of them right until the last one, and I thought it was,
That was a there's a few times that I'll play and I'll be so, listen to these and I'll be so excited about a round or something that I'll pause the game and try to play it myself.
yeah,
And that was one of the rounds where I'm like, okay, this is like a crossword puzzle. Like I gotta
you gotta figure it
stop and
out.
I gotta
Yeah,
write down. Okay,
yeah,
go through the
collaborate and
Rolodex. I've
listen.
got
Yep.
right, yeah, go through the Rolodex in my head, and then when I can't figure it out, I'll press play and listen to him talk it out. Go to the next clue, whatever. Um, so yeah, that was a really really fun round.
The funniest thing about this one was I don't remember what the halftime one was, but just let's get me after the flop turn river, and I just thought it was a genius. The sporting haikus was just a letdown. I mean, not that they weren't good, but it was just like, oh, I missed that. Flop turn river was just so good.
Yeah, you gotta always leave them wanting more, I guess. Probably should
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
go over your head.
What was the halftime one? I
The
forget what
halftime one were
halftime was.
coin flips over which movie was rated
Oh,
higher
the
on the Rolling
movies,
Stones.
yeah, on this
And
Rolling
and
Stone magazine,
and
right?
yet again, another host falls into the trap of writing a question that David already had like set aside
Yeah,
in his brain and was like,
because
I
he had
told
read
Mason
the
not to check
article and
because
was
he
gonna write a
yeah,
question about it. Yeah.
yeah. So I have done that on a coin flip. No, sorry, the closest to the pin, where he just got it exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
we've all fallen into the trap.
what was what was the theme on the Let It Ride throw in the towel? Do you remember?
This was draft steals, and it went from gettable to
Oh,
impossible within
yes.
one question.
Because right, because I think Mason's team,
They got the
Mason
first
and
one.
right. If I
Yeah,
recall correctly, of the eight possible correct answers in a Let It Ride and throw a towel, the teams uh collectively got one correct.
that is correct. And Mason, like, I think both of them had a very similar like way of bowing out in that like their person met the requirements but lost on a technicality. Like, I think they had Jacoby Jones or something as the answer to the second one, and it was like, oh yeah, he does have three records, but he was drafted in the fourth round, and that guy was supposed to be drafted. The guy I was talking about was drafted in the fifth. And you're like, okay, all right,
Yeah,
that's a little too close.
a little bit. Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
right. There was some interesting. That was fun. But I thought
it was.
just the thing about it is that Eric the Younger writes good questions and he writes good games, and I like his stuff. However, these ones and this one, I just found them like an extra layer of creative and fun. I think because he has complained so much about the halftime being tough, I believe he's been forced to push out of his comfort zone to come up with some other goofy stuff, which I think is genius. I love it. So
I will say I loved the Let It Ride round. I just wish that it had a little more ramp.
sure.
Like it just went like from like you're on, and then it just went like phew, and escalated quickly.
Yeah.
But I think they all did get the third question. Like they all collectively,
After they were,
yeah,
playing.
after both
Yeah,
of them are
exactly.
eliminated. So that one was good. But I
Yeah,
love that. That's another one you could go back to, right? Like you could just say, oh, we're gonna do Let It Ride, throw in the towel, draft steals, part two, and
sure.
you could go back to that a bunch. That was a fun idea for that round. So well done, young man.
There you go. All right, so let's go through the tournament stuff going on real quick here. So as we know, Mark Grenier beat Mike Corey in the first round over on the patrons side, and Byron Grubman beat Alex Binder, and David Feuder beat Trevor Hogue. And then I guess the episode of the fourth one hasn't aired yet. So the ones that happened within this month were, let's see here. What do we got here?
Me and Mr. Josh.
Yeah, that's right. So what do we have? 173. So okay, so it was no, okay, so it was Byron and Alex, So that one was a nail biter. Byron beat Alex just by 1 point, but Alex was happy to not have to do another episode. He said he was like, you know what, my wife and the kids and my life and everything are happy. I'm good with just the one and done. So there you go. So thanks, Alex, for jumping on. And then Byron moved on to round two, and then Mr. Walling, or I should say Eric the Elder, played against Josh Bomback, and that one was it was sneaky close kind of a deal. I think Josh walked in thinking that it was going to be kind of a slaughter, but the two of you were pretty close there, and there was only a 3-point difference. So,
and it was like we were talking about it on an episode we did the other day, but it was like we all seemed to get the same questions right, and it was just one or two questions that I think there was a golf question that I got that he didn't have, and we both basically flipped a coin and landed on the other sides of it on an Olympics question, and that was pretty much the difference there. But
yeah,
he put up a good fight.
Then
the slap shot.
Another one that landed this month was David Feuder and Trevor Hogue, which again, Trevor is one of those guys where he's smart and he knows sports trivia, but he felt as if he was, overmatched by facing David. And, but Trevor pulled out some pretty good ones there, and it was just a last two questions really that made the difference for David to win 7-5. So that was a fun game. And jokingly, I put in the thing that both guys struggled to find other French teams than PSG. And then within like minutes, Trevor had messaged me. He's like, I know other French teams than PSG. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I was just being funny in the thing. So, and then we have an episode releasing this Friday, which is Mason Guillot versus Dan Lundberg. And I'm just going to tell you right now that game, that if I would have played that game, I would have probably beaten both of them, which is saying a lot because, right, I'm not good at sports trivia. But this one, for some reason, it just fit right into my wheelhouse. And the joke is that at one point, Dan goes, okay, so now I'm getting beat by Mason and Matt, who's not even playing. So it was kind of fun. Anyway. All right, my friend. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'd like to make sure that we don't miss the opportunity to say that the humble brag of the month award goes to David Lux for the following. Quote, I have more sports movies on DVD than you can imagine. End quote. That was from episode 176, halftime. So
I remember
congratulations.
That he was like somebody said, I think David's the one who said, for your wedding gift, I'm going to get you like all access streaming service to every sports movie ever or something like that.
Right.
And then
he countered.
Shouldn't you send him like VHS or DVDs or something?
Yes.
And then I think Mason was the old man. Mason said Betamax.
Mason did score along in that round to be like, for those of you paying attention, I've seen one of these movies.
Exactly.
So
yeah, he did.
I was cracking up.
He's like, on the third one, he's like, collectively, I've seen 2 of the 6. Yeah.
Oh, and there is funny. A really, really fun. We did skip past it a little bit, but if you get a chance, if you're listening to this, hi guys, and you go back, there's a Mario Balotelli mention in that episode, and Mario Balotelli has one of the best lowlights of all time when he was in the MLS, like Man City came over in the MLS All-Star game, and he had like a wide open break in on goal, and he tried to show off and do this like 360 back heel into the thing and completely missed the goal. And he looked over at the sideline and immediately got subbed off. Immediately got pulled in an All-Star game. And it is, that guy is the worst. I hated that guy. So that was great.
And then they called him, he said he basically looks like Mario Balotelli, right?
Yeah, right. He looks like, he looked like Vernon Davis, but skinnier.
Vernon Davis was, there you go. That's what it was. Yeah, there you go. Funny. All right. Well, let's go ahead and cue up that music there again. Might as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
So here we go. All right. Okay, so next episode that we'll be covering will be, what do we got here? 177, 178, 179, and 180. We got Schmitzels Get Stitches. I'm not even going to go through. I only have like 8 seconds left here. So we got a whole bunch of more episodes coming up. But my favorite is Obla Di Obla Dali Na. That was a good one here. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Eric.
Bye, guys.